Hello? Do we still want to take it off the consent? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's just time. I kind of figured that's what it was for. They don't help.
Oh. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you were out of town. I think we're going to get beat.
Oh, good. Oh, man.
Here we go.
Here you get busier when you
Keeps you awake.
Like they say when you're tired, you wake up in the morning tired and you go to bed tired.
It'll cost you.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I got a good friend dying. Just came
That's
back.
nice.
Called a verbal contract.
I think what
He wanted me to stay longer.
our budget was shaky.
It was, Tom. We were cutting.
It was. I kind of thought that too.
You know, if I keep losing my good friends, I don't have any made it.
Believe me, I know. Either that or I have to go buy a Corvette.
They're going like
No, but you might have to bribe me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that I can try.
Okay.
I've been practicing for 42 years with my wife. Something ought to work. Oh, yeah. Something out of that bag ought to work. All right.
He's more against the local option.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. It is 4:30, and I'd like to begin by standing for a moment of silence, and then we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Brad Hint.
Here.
Ken Snyder.
Here.
Pete Hamel.
Here.
Tom Eggers.
Here.
Wayne Barahona.
Okay. Moving on then to the approval of the agenda, the next item on our agenda here.
Mayor, I would like letter H be talked about. There were some changes this afternoon, so if we could take that off the consent agenda.
Okay. And we'll move that into new business. That would be, we'll make that item E under new business. Any other changes at this time? Or comments?
Move we accept the list as amended.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
All right, now we moved into the public forum portion of our meeting. Is there anyone that would like to speak to something not on the agenda specifically that you're here to speak on later on at this time? We'll get to you guys later on. We'll just make yours a separate item too, I think. That's all right with those that, the Citadel group is here regarding the Prairie Trail thing. I was going to mention that and I forgot it, but why don't we make that a separate item of discussion as well, since we have three gentlemen here today. If that's it, we've already voted on, but if you're in agreement with that.
Just pull it from consent when the time comes.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Okay, so we'll hit you in a little bit. Any other comments that anybody would like to make at this time? Tom, state your name for the record, please.
I'm Bruce. Did you want me to address the item that's done later, now or later?
I think now would be a good time for you to speak, because it's really,
Okay.
I will bring it because of Prince later on, so.
Well, I had my opportunity last meeting, so The only thing I wanted to point out is in the council packets were a couple items from ICAP and IMWCA, and those were letters of support for prospective insurance.
Okay,
And then secondly, I'd asked Casey Kaler at ICAP to supply us with what she feels is the role of an insurance agent for the city and what they expect. I'd asked her if prospective insurance was fulfilling the role as far as ICAP was concerned, if we were providing the service they expected. And in there is a document, the role of an insurance agent. That's really all I had.
okay, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other public comments at this time? Not, we'll move on then to the consent agenda, approval of that. And like I said, we'll discuss the township agreement later on, and also the Citadel. Those will come out of the consent, and we'll discuss those later. So with
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, support. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Snyder,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
All right, so let's discuss the Citadel now at this portion of our meeting, if that's all right. We have with us three gentlemen. I'm not sure who, if you all want to speak, or, okay, and when you come to the mic, make sure you state your name and...
Sure, so I'm Josh Kattenberg from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And just here to kind of introduce ourselves, we've been managing Prairie Trail Village for about 6 months now for Eagle Talon, and we're now going to become the buyers. So we hope to close on that toward the end of March. So we're really excited to be coming to Sheldon to be investors. We were just reminiscing on the way down here that I'm here with Brent Zomer and Merlin Huff. They're both my partners. I actually have built houses here in Sheldon. Dr. Todd Biedema was actually when I was like 19, so it's kind of crazy that it's that long ago already. And then Brent is actually shingled roofs. He had a roofing company here. So it's fun to be back in Sheldon. Just don't realize how old I'm getting. So we're excited on the first phase of Prairie Trail, but that also has raised some interesting conversations about second phase. We know that there's a need for housing in Sheldon. A lot of the groundwork has been already laid for phase 2. It'd be about another 38 units. It'd be similar, so about 30 apartment units, 8 townhomes. The challenge with it is going to be we're going to need some partnerships in the community to make that happen. We're living in strange times, right? If you look at where building costs have gone, they've gone crazy high. It's hard to get stuff. You never know what you're going to be able to get. One day there's a shortage of glass. You can't get patio doors. Well, now you can't frame the inside, so you just are stuck. And then the next day you can't get a transformer to get the electric done. So really strange things that just come up. And so if that's going to get done, we're going to need to work with multiple levels. So what we're thinking is we'll try to work with the state workforce housing tax credit. We'll try to apply for that this year. We'd love to work with the city on tax abatements, potentially even with companies in town to see if we got to close the gap somehow. So we'll look at what the rents are running, we'll look at what it's going to cost to build, and we'll look at the shortfall and what it's going to take to make that happen. So we don't have good firm numbers yet, but just wanted to introduce that we would love to see that phase 2 get built if we can make the numbers work. So happy to take any questions if you guys have them for us while we're here before we head out.
Any questions from anybody at this time?
Not for me, thank you.
All right, good. Well, we appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome, yeah, welcome to this new venture for you guys. We hope it works out for you really well, and we look forward to working together here to make more. If we can get more housing, that's a very big need in this community. So we've just finished up a rural housing survey with Iowa State University Extension, and so there's a lot of different things we've been discussing, but nothing really concrete. But Prairie Trail did come up in those discussions, and so.
Just make another quick comment, just to help you understand what we're doing. So we manage about 2,500 units in South Dakota and Northwest Iowa. So we're in Orange City, Spencer, Spirit Lake, Mason City, Sioux City, Fort Dodge. So and that's going to keep growing. I mean, we have more plans to really manage more properties all in this area. And so, with the opportunities there, we'll definitely take it and help out. So.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So, with that discussion, there was a resolution to approve, facilitate the sale, and then they're requesting that the SCDC and the city consent to the assigning its rights and obligations that we had with Prairie Trail and Eagle Construction to now Citadel. So, you have the resolution in your packets. Look for approval for that.
Did we not already approve that through the consent?
Not through consent, we took it off of consent.
It's removed from consent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are there any concerns why we shouldn't?
Not that I can think of, no. Had it, I mean, it's basically just transfer of ownership.
Right.
Move we adopt the
Kurt,
resolution.
is there anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, so they're going to inherit the exact same contract that was agreed to with Eagle Construction. All the terms and conditions, everything will be inherited to them. So there's no real risk on our end. As they spoke for themselves as far as their reputable history and as far as property development, our property management. They've already been doing it here for 6 months. The nice thing with this group is that they're smaller, more locally owned, and they're really kind of focused on rural development. So I think that's an advantage to us as well. For what it's worth, SCDC has vetted this and approved their consent.
So Kurt, do you understand how experienced they are on the development side? We know that they do a lot of management. They spoke to that aspect of it. But
So, yeah, Josh has a lot of experience in construction through his years of getting to where he's at now in the property management. So they would, probably use like Steve Booty's team, his Eagle Construction team, as far as constructing a phase 2. They wouldn't be the actual contractor in general. They would work with Steve, and Steve is given him his pledge on that as far as working with them as far as the high construction process.
okay. But as Citadel, of all 3 owners, have they developed or built anything?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
They're really vested in on the property management side. But as they're growing and expanding their company, this is what they're now diving into.
So that might be the real difference between Eagle and them.
Correct. Eagle constructs and then they hire out
Right.
property firms to manage. So
Okay.
Be the reverse of that. They'll
kind of, yep,
hire out the construction and then
and they
manage.
manage their own property.
Any other questions? If not, I would take a motion to approve that resolution.
So move.
Support.
One last chance for discussion or questions. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Okay. All right, then moving on to new business. First item there is considering the request for the insurance agent of record competition. Bruce Moser has made that request. Sam, would you like to, Bruce, do you want to address the council at this time? Is that your desire? Great. Come forward.
Good afternoon. I am Bruce Mosier with Prinz Insurance, and just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you. And as an agent of Prinz Insurance, I've been there for 27 years. I've also been a resident of the city of Sheldon. Currently, I'm a Sanbornite, but we have years of experience working with smaller communities and communities that are relevant inside of our territory of where we do business. And for a long time, we have looked at the city of Sheldon and very much appreciate what Sheldon represents. And we would love the opportunity to be able to take a look at being the agent of record for the city. And with that, we understand the exposures that are tied to communities. And Tom had mentioned the role of an agent. That is pretty common inside of communities. We also use, we're an independent agent. We represent a number of different insurance carriers. And as an independent agent, the role is established as to what is required and requested. Inside of a city, a community, it's a little bit unique because there's a lot of property. There's a lot of vehicles, a lot of equipment, a lot of exposure that's tied to what the city represents. And so in our other communities, we go through the same process as what was outlined as the role of an agent. And so we very much appreciate that written down. That is the same steps that we follow when we work our renewals inside of those communities as well. I had the opportunity a little while back to actually go to Johnston, Iowa and sit down with ICAP. And because we very much wanted to talk with Casey and just understand a little bit more about what ICAP is and how it represents communities across the state. And Prinz Insurance has the ability to represent ICAP as well. And a lot of the communities that we actually use another insurance company called Employers Mutual. And Employers Mutual and ICAP, they both represent communities well, and they probably represent well over 90% of the communities in the state of Iowa. And so both companies fully understand what the exposures that are tied to, especially to the city of Sheldon. There's other circumstances that ICAP and the relationship with the city have currently. And at this point, ICAP needs to remain as the company moving forward, just because of some of the open claims that are presented through the city and just some of the history that's tied to that. So we are asking for the opportunity to be able to showcase the professionalism that Prinz Insurance can bring to the table. Service is more than a phone call, it's more than an email, and we believe that if we have that opportunity that you'll see a few more benefits that do add to real dollars to the bottom line, just in the services that we can provide as well. So that's why I'm here, is to be able to request that opportunity, and it's not something that needs to be done overnight. There's no big rush on it. At the last council meeting, it was talked about pushing it off to this summer, to this fall, when there's more time to truly evaluate. Plus, I understand that there might be a few other local agencies that would be interested in the opportunity as well. So as Prinz Insurance, we would welcome and ask for the opportunity to be able to showcase what we can offer through the process, however you see fit. You know, whether it's setting up a separate committee, you know, whatever process that is. So.
All right, are there any questions?
I know you said a little bit about you know, the city's relationship with ICAP. How many other cities do you deal with ICAP and the cities together?
We do not have any accounts that we insure with ICAP.
Okay.
We insure a couple other cities through Employers Mutual.
Okay, because I've had some claims through the fire department, and we've had to work with ICAP and Perspective, so just a question I had.
Yep. As an independent agent, we represent a lot of companies, and we have the ability to go in and out of companies just from learning who they are, how they match up with clients. We get very involved with the claims process because that's the service that we can bring to the table. You know, whether it's fire truck related or whether it's injury, whether it's buildings from a hail damage. We very much get involved with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
No questions, just appreciate you coming to address us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Bruce, thank you. So Sam has listed some options for us to consider regarding this. I'm sure you've read those. Do you have anything you want to comment on at this time? Okay. So we have the, first option is wait until later this year, consider it for the fiscal year 23-24. And the other option listed is renew with Perspective and table this request. What is the desire of the council at this time?
I guess my personal input into this is that since this is new, I think we really need to understand how we're going to go about the process, what's the parameters, and how are we going to facilitate the process. And so at this point, I think it would be rushing it until we know the answers to those. There was the committee structure was mentioned, and I think we could continue, give Sam the permission to go ahead and take a look at what that committee structure looks like. But I would rather just go ahead and table the action until we understand what that looks like and what are the parameters that we're going to actually do the comparisons on, so that when we do facilitate it, we understand what we're going to be looking for and how we're going to make a decision, so.
So, as I'm reading this, option 2 is to table the request. And then there's a note regarding option 1, there are further considerations, and that's where the evaluation committee is spoken about, so
My guess is I'm probably option 3 is what I'm proposing.
all right, yeah.
I would go along with, forming a committee, let them look into the pros and cons of each of the agencies and come up with their parameters, like Tom said, to evaluate them, and then let that committee come back with a decision to the council. So how we get that committee formed, I just say, Sam, form a committee and charge forward.
The suggestion here is the committee makeup would be, consist of Todd Ewell, Sam Koiker, a city council member appointed by the mayor, and someone experienced in insurance matters but not part of the competition, also appointed by the mayor. So that's one suggestion of how the committee might be formed.
That seems reasonable.
Seems fine to me.
But we don't have any proposals.
No.
Other than what we have right now. I mean, our past insured, right?
Correct.
So how can we do anything until we get some proposals?
And I think that's what the committee would,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
So the role of the committee can be to convene and to discuss, they don't necessarily have to put together a 3-page RFP. They can do we're seeking letters of interest from agencies, a page or 2 or less. You don't need to lay your hand on everything at this point, but provide an interest, and then we can discuss those letters, and then decide if we want, to go further than that. Could also split the difference and say, okay, let's use the committee to evaluate the current relationship and decide if an RFP needs to be issued. Or the committee could just say, you know what, we think it's a good idea to have an RFP to see what's out there and to see what other options there are, and go ahead and proceed. So I think keeping it somewhat open is good. You're not committing the committee to a certain path. You're allowing them to review it and let the facts lead the way. So that would be my, I don't know what you think of that, but to keep it somewhat open-ended.
I would support that.
Yes, I think we almost have to. Do you need a motion for that?
Yes.
Are you volunteering?
Yes, he is.
No.
To make a motion.
New guy on the block?
Yeah.
No.
You spoke first, so.
I just said you want a motion for that, and then we'll go.
So I'm gonna go back and reiterate option 3 that I'd mentioned, which was to give our permission for Sam to go ahead and look at the committee structure and come back to us with that and the parameters possibly that committee's gonna operate under. And if that's fine, seems to me that that's the first step. That's what we're saying. Maybe saying it 2 different ways, but same
Yeah.
thing.
I agree.
So what you're saying, if I might, what you're saying is, Tom, is take a month or so and tighten this up a little bit, and maybe find a few names of disinterested agents that might help us out, or people tied to the industry, and then
Yep.
call all of you and find out which one of you wants to be on it.
I think you first gotta understand what you want for a commission, and then you gotta figure out who's gonna be on it, who's willing to be on it, and then you gotta figure out what the commission's gonna do. And at this point, I wanna give you that responsibility to do that on the time frame that you feel that you need to do it in. That's what I'm trying to do here, so.
So
You
I'm
make that
taking,
motion,
I'm
Seth?
taking that as license then to take this and tighten it up and bring it back later.
You don't make that into a motion, Tom?
I just did.
You did? I'll support it. I
Well,
support, not volunteer.
Do you need a?
I move that we give Sam the permission to move forward with determining the committee structure, setting the parameters for that committee in relationship to whether an RFP is required and how we're going to go about that. How's that?
I'm going to defer from that, since I will be appointing two of the members that Sam and I would work on this probably together.
Okay. Then I need to add the unit to that motion then, is that what you're saying? Okay,
Yeah, let's do that.
okay, then
If you have no issues with that.
I have no
Okay.
problem with that at all.
All right.
You're good? Okay.
Anything else, discussion-wise? And roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thanks for your patience.
Right. Then let's move on to our next item, which is contract for development and a minimum assessment agreement with LK Enterprises LLC. We have to have a public hearing on that. So I'd like to open the public hearing at this time regarding that. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this at this time? Seeing no movement, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support. Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
All right, and then in your packets is a resolution approving the contract we were just discussing. Need a motion to approve that as well.
So move.
Support. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
All right, moving right along. Next public hearing is regarding the fiscal year 22-23 budget. I'd like to open that hearing at this time. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to that? I should have asked before, were there any written
No.
responses at all? Okay. Again, seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
All right, and then there's a resolution also with that. Take a motion to approve that now at this time.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
So then we also need to set a date and time for a public hearing on adoption of the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Currently it's set for March 2. Need approval for that as well.
Make that a motion.
Support. Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Nope.
Okay.
You're cruising though.
All right. Item D now is amendment to the 16th Street Water Tower and Pipeline Engineering Services Agreement. Somebody want to speak to that?
Sure. I think I laid out a pretty good explanation in the packets as what this amendment does. As you may or may not recall, in 2016, we approved an agreement for engineering only. We got to about 50% on that, thought that the project was going to be approved in a budget. It was decided at that time to move the project back. We then stopped work on the project until we knew where we're at. So this amendment updates that original pricing to today's values, and then, takes us the rest of the way home and through construction. And just for clarification, this is actually two agreements, right? It's one for the water tower and one for the pipeline project. It'll be bid as two separate projects because people that build water towers don't install pipe, essentially. It would be economical to bid it that way. Stand for questions.
So the current fee then is $393,200, is that right? Am I reading that right?
$393 is what would be left to be paid, yeah. We've already paid approximately 50-something.
7.9. So the remaining fee is $335,300, as I think.
Correct.
So did that number go up considerably from 2016? That's, I guess, where I'm driving with.
Yeah, so if you look at the amendment packet, there is a chart in there that shows, so for instance, the design fee in 2016 for the tower was $86,750. It's now $93,000.
Okay.
The design fee for the pipeline went from $25,000 to $26,900. Some other miscellaneous permits went from $3,000 to $3,500. So yes, there were some upcharges, but considering the value of the dollar in 2016 versus right now, I think that's pretty.
That's not out of line.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions regarding this?
No, just a comment. I had mentioned to Todd, I've actually had a couple of people contact me about it, and they said, whatever you do, make sure it's a good-looking water tower. So it's a very prominent feature, and how we light it and how we display our town is, I think, pretty important.
Point taken. The other thing I would mention is we'd be working towards a August or September type bid let.
Yeah, I was wondering what the timeline, that was gonna be my questions.
Yeah, we're trying to move along. We'd like to get it, to be honest with you, I'd like to get it in front of some of these other ARPA and infrastructure bill type projects. I think the sooner we can get it on the market, the better.
Yeah, there's gonna be a flood of projects.
You're not wrong.
And shortfall on pipe.
Yeah, and this project has a mile and a quarter or so of pipe on it, so it has a reason.
Exciting to see we're at this point, from talking to designing and bidding.
Yes. I'm also very excited. This is going to be a great asset for Sheldon. This is going to really help us support the growth that we've had and our future growth. It's going to allow us a lot of opportunities, and it's going to put us in a lot better position for stored water for our community.
I would entertain the motion to approve the engineering agreement.
Support.
The amendment to the engineering, we
Yes.
had an engineering to the amendment,
Yes.
yeah, okay, just to be concise. Okay, any further discussion? Then roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Okay, then to our newly added item E regarding the township agreement. Brad, you wanted to speak to that?
Yes, this has been ongoing conversation over the last month, and especially over the last couple of days, with some dispute and some coverage area, and so long story short, we divided up some land, some territory. Yeah, we went back, these agreements and maps were from 30 years ago plus that we're using. We shared some territory. Long story short, we lost some territory. We did come to an agreement. So instead of having like 17 and a quarter sections, we have 13 and a half. We settled on $775 per section. It's right in line with the other townships we're negotiating. So that's why you see the change in the last minute agreement. And I think we are approve the contract subject to the signatures of the trustees is what we'd ask for. Do you have any further questions, Sam, or comments?
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. Also, so.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions regarding this? All right, so we have that resolution. We need approval for that then, that 28E agreement with Grant Township.
I make a motion.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
All right, I think we're ready to move on into our reports. Anything you'd like to comment on at this time?
Not.
Todd, anything else from you? Kurt? Chief? Ange?
I don't have anything.
All right. Mike is not here today. How about the council to the left?
Nothing.
To my right?
Nothing today, Mayor.
All right. With that, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have support?
Support.
Thank you.
I was waiting for you.
Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
I thought it was your turn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.